Hello, Jeffco families and students. I hope you had an enjoyable and restful Thanksgiving break and you were able to spend time with your family safely. I know that many of us had much smaller gatherings with only our immediate families and perhaps had a funny Zoom, FaceTime, or a nice phone call with our extended families. I hope the warmth and gratitude, which is the intention of this time of year, touched every one of you in some meaningful way. As we return this week to district-wide remote learning for all, I want to take a moment to let you know that all of us at Jeffco Public Schools are working diligently to make this a seamless transition. Please know that we want to have in-person learning as an option for students. We work so hard to keep schools open, to keep in-person learning going in spite of increasing positive cases and quarantines. But in the end, as I wrote to you prior to Thanksgiving, from an operational standpoint, it was just not feasible to continue with in-person learning while the numbers of positive COVID-19 cases in Jefferson County continued to escalate. Our large-scale quarantines affect both students and staff. When we don't have sufficient staff, which includes bus drivers, custodians, food service workers, and especially teachers and school-based staff, we simply cannot operate a school. Staffing issues are disruptive to classroom learning, and the data told us that things were going to get a lot worse this month before they got better. I'm sorry we had to make the decision, but I also know that in the best interest of our students, staff, and community, it was the right decision. I'm proud of our Jeffco employees for all they have done since the start of the school year to keep our schools open. It took heroic people and heroic moments behind the scenes to make it all appear to work so well from the outside. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the entire staff for everything they did and continue to do during this hiatus. And I'm using that word hiatus intentionally. Hiatus means a pause or a gap in a sequence, series, or process. The next few weeks are just that. We have every intention of returning to in-person learning as soon as we are able. What does that really mean and look like? Well, unfortunately, I don't have answers today, but I'm working with district leadership and collecting feedback from stakeholders to develop the restart plan. And every single day, we are evaluating COVID-19 data, we are talking with metro area district leaders and public health officials, and we are considering every idea and option as to how we can return our students to in-person learning safely and successfully in January. It may be by grade level, it may be by school, it may be by student needs. I promise you, we will be making the decision and communicating it to you before we leave for the winter break. In the meantime, there are 3 requests I am making from our families and students. First, we are still tracking our own school district COVID-19 cases for staff and students, and we need you to fill out the correct form. For staff, your form is on My Jeffco, our internal website. For students, your form is also on our website and can be found here. Our health officials need accurate data so that we can track our school district infection rates. So thank you for doing this. Second, we put together a new remote learning website to create additional support for parents and students during this hiatus. We launched it right before Thanksgiving break, and we are continuing to add resources to it frequently. It has many resources for mental health, how-tos for successful remote learning, tips and tricks for learning at home, and more. Please access this webpage for useful information to support you. Third and finally, I have heard from many of you that this transition has been a struggle, that remote learning is challenging, hard, or just really inconvenient. I've heard that you want your students back in school and that your students want to be back in school. Well, you're right. It is hard, it is challenging, and it's not what any of us truly wanted. But now is the time. We must come together now in the interest of what's best for our students and the whole community. We must come together to support our hardworking teachers and staff who are doing all they can to make this the best experience for our remote learners. And we must come together as a community to do what we can to reduce the spread of COVID-19 so that we can bring our students back to our school buildings safely and successfully in the new year. I ask you to focus on the positive of what we can do by joining together in this challenge, rather than being at odds. I know as a community we can do this, because in the end, we all want the same thing: what's best for our kids.